Welcome back. Today I'm going to be changing the rear differential fluid on this 1984 Honda 200 ES Big Red 3-wheeler. Now I've got my tools already laid out. I have a 17 millimeter wrench and a 10 millimeter mid-length socket. And I also have my bottle of brake clean. The first step in this, as it should be with any differential fluid change, is to make sure we can get fluid back in. The fill plug is this large plug right there. Now before I crack that loose, I'm going to take my brake clean and clean all the dirt. I'm going to pull the camera back because I don't want to wreck the lens on here. Now that I've hosed that off and she's nice and clean, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to break that loose. Now that I know that that actually comes loose, I'll move down to this bolt which is labeled drain, and I will take that bolt out. Now when it comes out, I'm not going to remove this skid plate. It's going to come out and it'll drain down through that hole and make kind of a mess. But I don't really feel like taking the skid plate off, so that's what I'm going to do. And there is already an access area in the skid plate for this to come out. So once I crack it loose, I should be able to remove it by hand. Once I get my bolt out, we just go ahead and watch that drain. And this is actually better than what it was last time I changed it. Last time I changed it, it wouldn't even come out of the differential. I had to actually poke up inside of there to get it to drain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this fluid several times to try to flush it out the best I can. Now what I've got inserted right here, this is actually out of a bulk gear oil container, and that's what we're going to fill with. But I haven't put the drain plug back in yet. I'm just going to pump a little bit of fluid in there to try to flush some more of that gear or that ATF out before we actually put the plug back in. Okay, so we've got some nice clear gear oil coming out now. So what I'm going to do is take this plug, which I don't know if I'm going to be able to do while holding the camera. So I'll take this drain plug with the washer on it, reinstall it, grab my ratchet. Again, this is a little tiny bolt, so just snug. Okay, so I'm holding way in on the ratchet. I'm not putting very much torque on it, just snug. Now I'm going to go ahead and I will pump this gear oil in there until it just starts to come back out the fill spot. And there we are, it's coming back out. This thing really only takes about a half quart, I think, somewhere in there. Now this fill plug, these break really easy. So you cannot over tighten these. You have to be really careful about tightening these down. So we'll start it by hand. It should go in pretty much all the way by hand. So now I have it snugged down there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 17 millimeter, just very gently, and I'm actually going to watch it. And I'll just use one finger right about there. And that's all I'm going to do. These plugs crack if you over tighten them. So that one's good, the bottom one's good. Now I just need to get some brake clean out that tray, and then she'll be good to go. Well, you'll be good to go at that point. I'm not going to be good to go because I've done the diesel fuel, ATF, and now gear oil. So after I get the rest of the stuff done, I'll run this, I'll put a few miles on it, maybe 10, 15 miles, and then I'll go ahead and change this fluid again. So that's how you change your rear differential fluid in a 1984 Big Red ATC 200 ES. There's also a four-wheeler that uses the same style of differential. I think it's a TRX 200 something. I'm not sure exactly what it is. I wasn't going to show you this part because it's not really proper, and I didn't really want to show you something that's not proper. But because of how nasty this gear oil is, how enclosed this differential is, so I can't really get to it. What I've actually done is filled this with diesel fuel. Now I haven't run the three-wheeler, but I've filled it with diesel fuel, and this is actually the second time. So I've sloshed it all around. I've moved the three-wheeler. I'm pushed it forward and back, but I haven't actually gotten on it and ridden it yet. So what I'm gonna do, and last time some chunks came out with it, I kind of feel like it's probably getting towards the point where that's not gonna happen. But I'm gonna go ahead, pop this drain plug out. Hopefully you can see what's going on here. I'm leaving the fill plug in because I know it comes out and it's going to slow down how quick it comes out of this drain. This ATF is going to come out quick. And what I'm trying to do here is clean the inside of the differential, because this is the second or third time that I've changed fluid on this, trying to get it to clear up. It was really nasty when I first did it. In fact, it didn't drain. I had to sit there and like poke a pick up inside the drain hole and knock stuff around to get it to clean out. Now the next thing I'm gonna do, and I actually am going to ride it around the yard a little bit, but it's probably a bad idea. But the next thing I'm going to do is actually fill this with transmission fluid. Now when you're tightening up this drain bolt, it's going into an aluminum housing. It has a crush washer on it. This ratchet is rather long. It's a small fastener. Very little torque. So I'm just going to use like one finger out here at the end, push down on it, and that's good enough. Now I'm going to fill this thing up with the auto transmission fluid. Gear oil and motor oil are rated on different scales. Gear oil, an 80 weight gear oil is somewhere in the neighborhood of a 50 weight engine oil. So an automatic transmission fluid is somewhere in the neighborhood of a 20 weight engine oil, which means it's much thinner, it's going to flow around a lot better. ATF also has a lot of additives for cleaning, so it's got a lot of detergents in it. Because I'm trying to clean this axle out, that's what I'm going to do. You really should not drive around on this, and I'm not going to go out on the trail or work this thing very hard, but I am going to drive it around the driveway with some ATF in it, and I'll do that for maybe 5 minutes or so just to try to get this circulated around. Hopefully it doesn't damage any bearings, but I want to get this old nastiness out of here. So that's what I'm going to try. Alright, you've seen me take the fill plug out several times. I'm back from just riding this around out in the driveway in the back field there. So, there we go. There's our transmission fluid being drained out. Grab my little washer out of the tray. Actually looks like it's coming out pretty clean. We might finally be there. The weird thing, and this does not make sense because the fluid in here should not control this. As I was out there kind of running this around, it seemed like it started to shift better, which I think this three-wheeler probably sat a lot, and there's a lot of things on it that are just kind of bound up. So I'm going to go with, if anything, that's just a coincidence. But it is kind of weird that as I'm trying to change this fluid, the shifting seemed to be improving too. While that's draining, let's come over to this side. And on these big reds, there's actually a water drain bolt right there. So if I pull this and no water comes out, then that means that no water got in here, and that's what we're really hoping for. Nothing yet. And no water came out the drain bolt. Now, just for fun, because the other side was kind of nasty, I'm going to take this the straw, and nothing started coming out. So that's probably really doesn't have any water in it. And that's a good thing. You don't really want water in it, which means that the fact that there is some nastiness in this other side is probably legitimately a bad deal. But there you go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.